Hello YouTube. The Gornaya Shoria megaliths, meaning mountain Shoria or mountainous Shoria megaliths, are rock formations found within the mountain Shoria region that comprises the southern part of Kemerovo Oblast or region in southern Siberia in Russia. The Gornaya Shoria megaliths, also known as Surak-Kuilum megalithic complex by other name, they form the ridge crests and summit of Mount Kuilum, 1,203 meters in elevation. And Mount Kuilum, again, is part of the Kuilum-Surak granite massif in those Shoria mountains. So, there are mountains in the south of the Kemerovo region, and that's where the geologists discovered a wall, so to say, of rectangular stones piled on top of each other. The find has already been dubbed by some as the Russian Stonehenge. According to one hypothesis, the structure appeared back in the days of an ancient civilization. And we'll get to other hypotheses. But let's get to the discovery, because it's not modeled or obscure, but there's a story. So in 2013, a discovery was made in the south of Siberia, which attracted the attention of researchers and raised a number of questions. Megalithic structures consisting of huge stone blocks weighing over 1,000 tons have been discovered on the territory of the Gornaya Shoria. But the first time researchers became interested in this area was back in 1991. You see, but at that time, right after the collapse of the USSR, it was not possible to explore the territory due to the lack of money. So the continuous exploration work, resumed in the autumn of 2013. And one of the initiators of this expedition in 2013 was, still is, Georgy Sidorov, a native of the Kemerovo region. And he wrote in his social network group, "The expedition to the Gornaya Shoria has ended. What we saw there is amazing in its scale. Huge granite blocks are stacked into the walls with polygonal masonry. Geologists compare the found structure with Stonehenge and the Egyptian pyramids. They intend to go on an expedition again next summer to solve the mystery of its origin." And that's according to Evgeny Vertman, deputy chairman of the Tomsk branch of the Russian Geographical Society. And he shared this with Russian journalists. According to preliminary estimates, the height of the wall is about 40 meters and the length is about 200 meters. The length of the stones that make up the structure is about 20 meters and their height is 5 to 7 meters. Each block weighs more than 1,000 tons. Scientists are considering two hypotheses of the origin of the structure. According to one of them, one hypothesis, it appeared back in the days, like I said, of the ancient civilization, but we don't know which one. Most likely its representatives possessed other technologies that were incomprehensible to us and inaccessible, according to Evgeny Vertman. Of course, questions arise. Why did they erect a building or structure? How did they manage to lift boulders to mountains over 1,000 meters high or tall? We have to answer all this. According to another hypothesis, the discovered or found stones are the result of geological processes associated with severe weathering of the rocks of the Gornaya Shoria. So according to the 2013 report of the expedition, geologists from the village of Kamushki in the Mezhdurechensk district have long been asking to do research in that Gornaya Shoria area. During their research, they came across strange megalithic structures. Well, this happened back in the Soviet times when the roads to Gornaya Shoria were blocked by checkpoints of penal colonies, labor camps. After the perestroika, that's the policy of openness that Gorbachev introduced in the USSR, the places of detention were disbanded and the road to the strange megalithic sites was opened. These massive granite walls have led to numerous debates about how such stones could have been moved and laid in ancient times, because their dimensions are much larger than the known megaliths in other parts of the world. Some scientists believe that the megaliths of the Gornaya Shoria are natural formations formed under the influence of tectonic processes and erosion. According to this hypothesis, natural forces acting on a deep-lying rocks led to the formation of rectangular and block structures. Such processes are not uncommon, especially in the harsh climate and complex geological structure of the region. Rocks rising to the surface under the influence of seismic and tectonic changes can take shapes that resemble artificial structures. However, proponents of a different point of view disagree with this explanation. They argue that the shape and location of megaliths are too precise to be the result of random natural processes. The photographs taken by the researchers show that many of the stone blocks have smooth surfaces and clear right angles, which raises speculation about their artificial origin. Some of the blocks reach sizes of up to 7.5 by 18 meters, which raises doubts about their natural formation. These stone structures resemble cyclopean construction, megalithic structures that are attributed to mythical creatures of the ancient Greek legends. The megaliths of the Gornaya Shoria have given rise to several hypotheses, as I mentioned, their boldest claims that these stones could be part of ancient structures created by a highly developed civilization, of which we just don't know anything. Perhaps these structures had religious or cultural significance or were part of defensive structures. Such researchers suggest that such megaliths could have been used as temples of ritual places, where ancient people performed their rituals, whatever else was associated with it. Other hypotheses are related to anomalous or paranormal phenomena that had been recorded during the research of this place. Now, according to some geologists, mystical things happened during the expedition, frankly speaking. Let's see what they said. We decided to explore the ruins, and what was our surprise when the needles of all compasses began to deviate from the megaliths. The conclusion was unequivocal. We are faced with an inexplicable phenomenon of a negative magnetic field. Where did it come from? Maybe it's a residual phenomenon from ancient anti-gravity technologies. So the strange behavior of compasses recorded by geologists near megaliths just adds even more mystery. Again, for unknown reasons, the compass needles deviated from the megaliths. And geologists began to think about possible abnormal energies or properties of the place itself. Similar magnetic deviations have already been recorded in other megalithic zones around the world, which raises questions about possible ancient technologies used to create them. Modern research has not yet provided definitive answers to the questions of the origins of these megaliths of the Gornaya Shoria. Again, natural processes can certainly explain part of the mystery, but the presence of such precise geometric shapes and massive blocks forces at least some scientists to continue looking for other explanations. Local legends and archaeological finds sometimes point to the existence of ancient cultures whose technologies were more advanced than we can imagine. Perhaps the megaliths of the Gornaya Shoria represent the remains of these civilizations that existed in Siberia long before the historical era known to us. But each new discovery in this field raises more questions than answers. And those megaliths of Gornaya Shoria, they continue to be one of the most mysterious archaeological finds in Siberia, and basically their study is just beginning. Perhaps in the future, new expeditions and technologies will help shed light on these mysterious structures and open unknown pages of human history. as long as there is enough money for the expeditions. Valery Varov, Russian author and paranormal researcher, I knew about 20 years ago. Speaking about the photographs taken during the expedition of Georgy Sidorov, expressed his sincere admiration and reverence for the power of the ancient inhabitants of Siberia. Apparently, according to him, the same feelings are felt by everyone who sees in front of them giant blocks in the walls of temple structures and pyramids of ancient Egypt, the giant monoliths of Ollantaytambo or Pumapunku in Peru, not to mention the renowned ones of Baalbek. This caused disputes about ancient technologies and makes some feel the awe of power of ancient giants, the possible ancestors of modern humanity. And so far, nothing like this has been found on the territory of Russia. Georgy Sidorov, whom I mentioned before several times, the founder and staunch supporter of the alternative history of Siberia, confidently says that nowhere in the world are the megaliths equal to those discovered in Gornaya Shoria. His expedition found apparently material evidence for the theory that Siberia will soon be recognized as the ancestral homeland of all mankind. And they say that for the first time in history of Russian science, walls lined with giant blocks weighing 2,000 to 4,000 tons and even more have been discovered. Who created them and why? What are these structures? They do not look at all like manifestations of the internal game of nature. And judging by the traces that have survived to our time, the structures were destroyed by an explosion of enormous power. It could have been a catastrophic earthquake or a cosmic meteorite impact. Meanwhile, other scientists are not inclined to see the results of the expedition as something unique. According to the excavations carried out on the territory of Gornaya Shoria, the age of the most ancient finds does not exceed 10,000 years. Valery Kimeev, professor of Department of Archaeology, explained to Russian reporters, as for the so-called Russian Stonehenge, if some remains of the cultural layer were found in this expedition, then we could say that this monument is man-made, not natural. Apparently he doesn't know, or was not introduced to the material artifacts that were discovered according to Sidorov. Vladimir Bobrov, doctor of historical sciences, and Anatoly Martynov, honored scientist of Russia, academician of the Russian Academy of Sciences, agree with Kimeev's opinion. I must say that such sensations have become very popular recently. What I saw in the photo was created by nature. The finds of such geological formations have been known for a long time, since the beginning of the 20th century, and even then the nature of their origin was not in doubt, according to Yuri Shirin, the deputy director for scientific work of the Kuznetsk Fortress Museum Reserve. I always like to include comments of the Russian observers who read such materials and do their own research or comment on them. I think you'll find them interesting. So let's start. Archaeological excavations are necessary, as a result of which artifacts can be discovered, because such places have attracted people for thousands of years. As for the wall that the expedition discovered, it is not difficult to solve the question of its origin. A person built walls from different stones that will differ in their structure, and here we see a single stone massif that has acquired the appearance of masonry. Next, archaeological excavations are necessary. That's another one. And if a civilization has developed to such an extent that it can cut stones of such scale, then why did it not develop simple cement? It is much easier and less time-consuming. So I think it's a natural formation. Next, well, jokes with the compass aside, so has anyone ever checked this place for iron ores? Next, the Bastai rocks of Germany, Montserrat in Spain, and in Karelia in Russia look the same, although smaller. Although I want to dream, but alas, it is clear that these are natural formations. There are many such structures in Siberia I have already read more than once. Next, probably giant people lived before us and they built such structures, and the deviations in the compass are apparently their protection by a method unknown to our technology. I think that our civilization is still far from their knowledge. If there is masonry, it is very ancient and eroded from time and quite destroyed. Actually, there are outcrops of Permian deposits, and this story is 250 to 300 million years ago. Next, it is very similar to masonry. The joints of the lower blocks are overlapped by the lying blocks on top. Spoon masonry. Back then, there weren't even dinosaurs yet, and the largest animal was about 2 or 3 meters long. Man is the crown of the development of the animal world, you say. So, as you can see, it's a complicated phenomenon. And at this point, I am not sure whether it's natural or man-made. Again, you need much more research, but it's a very interesting place, as Siberia is itself, and I've made videos about its mysteries and secrets and enigmas, and every year we seem to find more. And I'll bring you stories about such discoveries, of course, and I'm sure one day we'll get our answers. But if you like my research, please support me in the links you'll find in the description to this video. Please tell others, please like my videos, and I appreciate your attention to my work.